Your thumb hovers over the screen. You've been staring at the same line of code for 40 minutes, and the logic still isn't clicking. A notification lights up in the corner of your eye, promising a quick hit of dopamine, a new thread, a faster way to get the result you're chasing. You feel like you've hit a wall. You've been putting in the hours, reading the documentation, waking up at 5 a.m., but the needle hasn't moved in weeks. You start wondering if you just don't have the knack for this. You begin to suspect that the people who make it look easy possess some secret ingredient you were born without. This feeling is a lie. The lie is that progress is a straight line. We are told that if we work hard, we go up, 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 up. But that isn't how the brain works. That isn't how mastery works. Mastery is a series of jagged leaps and long, flat stretches. These stretches are called plateaus. The plateau is the place where the real work happens. Most people treat the plateau as a signal to quit. They see the lack of visible progress as a failure of effort or a lack of talent. This is the great misconception. You think you are standing still, but you are actually integrating. Think about the first time you tried to build a website. You had to think about every single tag, every bracket, every semicolon. You were using your conscious effort, the slow, clunky part of your brain that burns through energy and tires out by noon. This is the effort system. It is necessary, but it is exhausting. Eventually, something happens. You stop thinking about the syntax and you start thinking about the architecture. The code becomes a language you speak rather than a puzzle you solve. This is the click. The effort system has successfully reprogrammed your autopilot. You have moved from conscious struggle to habitual flow. But here is the truth. The click only happens because of the plateau. The plateau is where your brain takes the raw, messy effort of the last few weeks and weaves it into your nervous system. It is the silence before the surge. Your phone is engineered to make the plateau unbearable. Every 6 seconds, it offers you something easier, a thread, a reel, a notification that feels like progress but costs you the real thing. Your phone is a machine built to provide a reward every 6 seconds. Your apps are designed to give you the feeling of progress without the actual work. You get the hit of learning a new skill by watching a 10-minute crash course at 2x speed. You get the hit of productivity by rearranging your Notion board instead of doing the deep work. We have become addicted to the surge. We crave the start, the rush, the novelty. We hate the silence. We hate the flatness. Because we are conditioned for instant gratification, we mistake the necessary period of integration for a waste of time. This addiction creates 3 types of people who never actually achieve anything. First, there is the dabbler. The dabbler loves the honeymoon phase. They buy the expensive ergonomic keyboard, the latest AI subscriptions, the high-end gym membership. They love the rituals of starting. They make a huge spurt of progress in the first 2 weeks, tell everyone about their new passion, and then they hit the first plateau. To the dabbler, the plateau is a sign that the project is boring or not the right fit, so they quit. They jump to a new framework, a new side hustle, a new identity. They have a long resume of beginnings and a graveyard of unfinished projects. Then there is the obsessive. The obsessive hates the plateau even more than the dabbler does, but instead of quitting, they try to force the surge. They work 20 hours a day. They take shortcuts. They growth hack their way through the basics. They want the result now and they don't care how they get it. In a relationship, this is the person who tries to fix a deep emotional void with extravagant gifts and dramatic gestures. In a career, it's the manager who cuts R&D to make the quarterly profit curve look like a rocket ship. They create a jagged ride of brief peaks and violent crashes. They don't learn, they just strain. Finally, there is the hacker. The hacker is the most dangerous because they are comfortable. They get just good enough to get by. They learn the minimum viable skill set to keep their job, and then they stay on the plateau forever. They don't care about mastery. They care about the path of least resistance. They do enough to not get fired, but never enough to be indispensable. They spend their lives in a lukewarm middle, wondering why they never feel the electricity of true competence. You are likely caught between these three. You feel the dabbler's urge to switch paths when it gets boring. You feel the obsessive's urge to grind your soul into dust to force a result. You feel the hacker's temptation to just settle for good enough. To reclaim your focus, you have to stop fighting the plateau. You have to learn to love the flatness. Imagine you are learning a new language for your career. For the first month, you're excited. You learn the basic greetings. You can order a coffee. You feel like a genius. Then you hit the intermediate wall. For 3 months, you study every day, but you still can't follow a fast conversation. You feel like you're regressing. This is the integration phase. Your brain is building the habitual system. If you push too hard, you burn out. If you quit, you stay a tourist. If you embrace the flatness, you wake up one morning and realize you aren't translating in your head anymore. You are just speaking. Imagine you are building a startup. You launch the MVP and you get a few hundred users. The initial spike is exhilarating. Then the growth flattens. You spend 6 months tweaking the UI, talking to users and fixing bugs, but the user count barely moves. The endless climax, culture tells you that your product is a failure. But the plateau is where you find the actual product market fit. It is where you stop guessing and start knowing. The surge that follows this plateau is the only kind of growth that is sustainable. Imagine you are transforming your body. You lose the first 10 pounds quickly. The scale moves every day. Then it stops. You eat the same food, you lift the same weights, but for 3 weeks the number doesn't budge. The obsessive starts fasting for 20 hours a day and doubling their cardio. The dabbler decides this workout isn't for their body type and tries a new fad. But the person pursuing mastery knows that the body is recalibrating. The plateau is where the muscle actually hardens. The plateau is where the metabolic shift happens. The world wants you to be a consumer of surges. It wants you to be distracted, fragmented, and perpetually unsatisfied. It wants you to believe that if it isn't happening fast, it isn't happening at all. But the only things worth having, true skill, deep relationships, a legacy of work, require you to stay in the room when the excitement leaves. They require you to practice for the sake of the practice. They require you to be okay with the silence. Stop looking for the shortcut. Stop chasing the hit. Stop wondering why it's taking so long. It takes this long because the wiring is deep. A single lamp glows in a dark room at 3 in the morning, illuminating a hand that continues to write.